We've got a game coming up here at the bottom of the hour.
I thought we were going to just do a talk show.
Talk all day long. You could talk all day long.
You know, the producer was worried about us filming.
We're going to cut it off here in a little bit and send it back down to Carl Ravitch and the crew because they've got this NC State-Tennessee game, the consolation game down in Atlantis. They're going to tip in just under 17 minutes. Earlier in the day, Villanova, Northern Iowa championship game in Atlantis. Jalen Brunson. This kid is special, coach, with the three here.
He's like a surgeon. He just controls the tempo of the game, gets him in offense, makes the right decision. Really nice job. Right, this is at the end of the half. Good execution coming out of the timeout by Jay Wright. Only 3 turnovers for this Villanova basketball team. They share the ball. They play with great spacing. They have great upper-class leadership and development. The development of Mikal Bridges has been terrific.
Look at that pass from Brunson and Mikal Bridges. And then Bridges knocks down the 3.
That's Villanova basketball.
Unbeaten right now, 64-50 champs over Northern Iowa. Interesting game coming up, NC State and Tennessee. Both these teams have impressed in this tournament, though.
I really like what the job Kevin Keatts has done with NC State. He's got them playing with great energy, extending their floor, defending. Alaric Freeman, the Baylor transfer, has given him a go-to scorer. He's getting pretty good minutes out of their front court, and they've got a toughness about him. And then you talk about Tennessee. Tennessee's just a tough, physical team. I mean, Grant Williams, your guy, Admiral Schofield.
Yeah, love it.
All right, they extend their defense. This game's going to go up and down. The team that takes care of the basketball better and handles the other team's pressure. And if NC State can rebound the ball in the defensive end, they win. If not, Tennessee gets the W.
Coach, get some oxygen. We're going to, speaking of coaches, these 2 coaches you mentioned.
Keatts and Barnes, 2 of the great ones.
Coach Barnes leading Tennessee. They'll tip in 3 minutes. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be back in Atlantis.
You're watching ESPN's Feast Week, presented by Lowe's. And welcome back, everyone, to the Bad Boy Mowers Battle for Atlantis. We are in the beautiful Paradise Island, Bahamas. And that is the Atlantis Resort. Lots to do, including playing great basketball. We just saw Villanova win the entire championship as they took care of what they had to do against Northern Iowa. And now you have a game between a couple of teams that are now looking for big-time wins. You got Tennessee and NC State. I'm joined by Robbie Hummel, the former Purdue great, who is still recovering from the way Purdue has played in this tournament. That being said, Tennessee's got a guy, not Tennessee Williams, but Grant Williams, who's been unbelievable.
Yeah, and I mean, he's really been on a mission since halftime of that Purdue game, and he's continued to get it done against Villanova. He goes for 20 and 8 again in that game. He's just a guy, he's been tough. He's gotten it done. You know, he in the second half against Purdue was so good. You know, they were just going to him on possession after possession, posting Vince Edwards from the top of the key. And for Tennessee, I think, to finish this week, they need to get a win here and keep that momentum going into the non-conference season. And really, I think when you judge success in these tournaments, it becomes relative. And after they beat Purdue, you know, I think they have to make sure they close out an NC State team for this to be a successful week.
All right, our starting lineups are brought to you by Atlantis. Beverly's in the starting lineup. He's a good shooter. Braxton Beverly, who's a freshman. He's only played in about 4 games, and in fact found out before the 3rd game of the season that he was eligible to play. He's a very good sharpshooter. You got Bone, Bowden, Schofield, Williams, and Alexander. And across the front, Alexander, the big guy, number 11. So we'll keep an eye on him. Omer Yurtseven will come off the bench. He was outstanding for NC State yesterday. Heard Seth Greenberg back in the studio say this will be an up-and-down game. That's what you expect, too?
Yeah, and I mean, yesterday we had the NC State game, and it was really a tale of 2 tempos. Today, it's really the same thing. Both teams trying to get out in transition and run with the basketball.
Thrown to Williams with 3 on the shot clock, and no, but he follows his shot, tries to dump it down. Alexander, Beverly onto the ground. It'll stay with Tennessee.
Well, NC State starting with really a 4-guard lineup because Torin Dorn is really 6'4". He's a guard. So don't be surprised if Tennessee looks to, as we said in the open, Grant Williams and tries to get him going on the block.
Yurtseven isn't starting. Leonard Freeman's the big fella down low. He wears number 1, but not a tall lineup. And Admiral Schofield tries to take advantage. He shoots one off the side of the backboard. They're pushing the pace. They get it down to Torin Dorn. That shot is blocked. You've been in these tournaments before. Obviously, this isn't the championship game. So how do you sort of motivate yourself for it? And I know it sounds cliche, and we always like to see everybody try hard in every game.
Sure.
But it's a third-place game.
Well, like I said in the open, I mean, you have to finish the week off. Both these teams get big wins. Tennessee beats Purdue. NC State beats Arizona. Unfortunately, not able to get it done yesterday in the semifinals, but either one of these teams, you could say, this really gets us going into the rest of our non-conference slate.
I think perhaps the expectations for these two teams would be elevated a little bit, having done what they've done here,
well,
right?
I think, you know, Tennessee played Villanova tough yesterday. NC State, that's probably a disappointing loss for them because you beat Arizona, and then you just kind of come out flat. They looked a little mentally fatigued, I think. It's when you get a big win like that, it can be hard when you come out and play an opponent that's maybe not a Power 6 type team, but we know, and if you follow college basketball, Northern Iowa is a very good program. Good
fadeaways. You see the benefits of any tournament, let alone this one, and obviously we're in the middle of so many tournaments. 3 games in 3 days. You got a bounce back ability, build your team chemistry, and hopefully get you set for not only the regular season, but a postseason run.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it sets you up for. This is the only time all year you're going to play multiple games in a short time period.
Freeman, first 3 for Al Freeman. That one misses. They got a little dependent yesterday on the 3-point shot and were unable to execute. For a while, it felt like they just kind of let Northern Iowa stay around, and they ran the risk of losing, which they ended up losing.
No, they had them down 7, and Kevin Keats even said this to his team. You know, we just did not step on their throats. We didn't put them away, and they had a chance to. But credit Northern Iowa. I mean, they stuck with it, and they grinded out a win.
Jordan Bones got a couple of threes. Freeman that time, instead of settling for the 3, drives, and he picks up the foul. Well, you mentioned Kevin Keats, he, of course, the new coach over there at NC State. But Rick Barnes, 7th among active coaches, has a terrific resume. He has obviously graduated a number of great professionals from the college ranks to the NBA. And he got a lot more depth this year on this team than he's used to.
Well, and these freshmen have grown into sophomores. And I think we saw it, especially against Purdue, and we had that game. Those sophomores came up huge. I mean, Grant Williams was so good in that second half. But don't forget, you know, Lamonte Turner, he's a redshirt sophomore. Jordan Bones a sophomore. Jordan Bowden's a sophomore. So a lot of these guys got really good experience, especially in the SEC conference, played a lot of minutes, and they took some losses last year. But the best way to get better is to go against really good teams. And in that conference, especially this year, you know, you're going to have to go through it because the SEC is up, that's for sure.
Lamonte Turner's into the game. He's got the ball, had it deflected out of his hands, and now NC State will push. And that ball picked off. Also into the game, John Fulkerson. Talk about football-sized bodies. Admiral Schofield, number 5, is massive.
He looks like he should play linebacker for the Vols.
Steps called on Fulkerson, who's recovering from a couple of surgeries, and a guy that Rick Barnes says we got to get him going. And if they can get him going, that's an added bonus given his size, about 6'10", and his ability.
Yeah, we both got the feeling from Rick Barnes that he really believes that this kid is going to be a good player for the Vols. I think just you could tell when he talked about him. He really, and you know, he mentioned his game against Oregon last year against North Carolina. That's a horrible turnover. That cannot happen if you're NC State.
Here's the bad news. It happened.
It did. And those are turnovers that as a coach you shake your head, and you know that's a mental deal too. You know, this is their 3rd game in 3 days. But still, you got to be sharp. You're playing against a good team. You're looking for another opportunity to get a good win on your resume. These games do matter.
So Omer, your 7 now into the game. We'll keep an eye on him, number 14. Showed some real good inside moves, as well as the ability to shoot a 3 and rebound. And right off the bat, he comes in and gets a rebound.
I thought he was good against Arizona as well. His box score wouldn't have been as good as it was yesterday, but he was huge in defending Arizona's bigs.
Misses his first shot. Malik Abu there. He can't get it to go. Picks up his own miss, and he gets fouled. So some good hustle from Abu, and you're 7 off the bench.
You love his energy. He plays so hard, but he gets that rebound and kind of loses his balance. Able to stay with it, though, and you know, that's just something that you can't teach. That is a skill. That's playing hard.
First free throw, no good. And look, this is a culture change that Kevin Keatts is trying to instill here in North Carolina State. And one of the things he did to help that, he put a ping pong table, inside the locker room. And the idea there was, I want everything we do, literally everything we do, to be a competition.
Sure.
Some of that was missing last year as Mark Gottfried was let go after the season. And he, from free throw shooting to his own games of horse with the players, to ping pong.
I just think from a practice standpoint, when you have competitive things, basketball players don't like to run, and that's a great motivator when you're playing in these practices. You get better from a competitive standpoint. It's great for your team.
Keatts' team has made a couple of mental mistakes, though, with these turnovers. Tennessee, Rocky Top jumps out to an 8-4 advantage. Part of that, Jordan Bone dialing up a couple of three-pointers. Back to Atlantis in a moment.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Bad Boy Mowers, classic American muscle. Mow with an attitude. Atlantis Paradise Island. Bahamas at heart. And K Jewelers. Every kiss begins with K.
Welcome back, everyone. You get a chance to swim with the sharks, see all types of fish and land life and sea life as well. This is the Bad Boy Motors Battle for Atlantis. Bad Boy Mowers, I should say, Battle for Atlantis. Although I'll be honest, having seen those mowers, they do appear as if they could also go around racetracks. I mean, they don't take just grass down, right? They take down buildings.
No, those things, you could take those anywhere.
Bad Boy Mower. Good way to get home on a Thanksgiving holiday. Hop on a Bad Boy Mower. Well, Tennessee's got an 8-4 lead over NC State in the third-place game. If you didn't see it earlier, Villanova, the Wildcats, win another November championship behind Bridges and Brunson. Three-pointer on the way, nothing but the bottom of the net, and a good shot there for the former leading scorer in the country, James Daniel, when he was not playing for Tennessee.
He's got a big-time scoring reputation. He kind of got it going against Nova. Keeps it going here today.
Look out, E. Pons. Oh, he missed it. That would have been pretty, but he couldn't convert. So Daniel throws another three up. No good. Fulkerson the rebound. That doesn't go. Yves Pons now into the game, number 35, recruited out of France. A freakishly good athlete. You can tell just by his physical size what he's capable of doing. Your 7 gets it down low, and he gets it to go.
And that's textbook post play right there. I mean, you see he catches that ball. He's got 3 guys around him. Never brings it down. You see big guys, they always want to bring it down to their waist. He keeps it at his chin, finishes with the jump hook.
That sets up Williams for a 3. Little long Pons. Did he get pushed from behind? Will stay right here. Love the idea on this play.
Yeah, I mean, it is the right play. Just poor execution, and probably could have still dunked it. I mean, just throw that one down, big fella.
Pons has been dealing with a bad ankle.
Yeah.
And there was some question when we started this battle for Atlantis whether he was going to be able to play or not. Admiral Schofield, son of a Navy man, thus the name Admiral, and he can't get his fadeaway to go. Think about the SEC and obviously the ACC. These two teams play in some power conferences.
Both teams are going to be well tested throughout the season.
Freeman's had one really good game, and he's sort of lost his ability to find that stroke right now.
Well, he had an early drive, I thought, in this game where he got to the rim just like he was doing against Arizona, but we've seen him the last 3 minutes kind of settle for three-pointers again.
Admiral Schofield no good. Battle for the board, and that goes off the hand of Leonard Freeman.
I think we're seeing some tired legs here too, Carl. I think, you know, it is day 3, and when it is late in these tournaments, it's important to get to the rim. You know, we just saw Admiral Schofield miss a three-pointer. We saw him also the play before miss a post-up where he faced up, and instead of punishing the smaller Al Freeman, he settled for a fadeaway jumper.
How about that defense by Yurt-7 on the big fella for NC State? Sam Hunt.
He's had a really good tournament. He is a guy that if you're an NC State fan, you have to be excited about. Comes in with a big-time reputation, but he's performed, and so far this game and the two before that.
Derek Walker attempted to get one over Yurt-7, and then Yurt-7 picked up the rebound.
Interesting to see how Braxton Beverly bounces back today. He's a freshman, has a great game against Arizona. Struggled shooting the basketball a little bit yesterday in their loss to Northern Iowa.
Yeah. Braxton Beverly comes out of the Hargrave Military Academy, where Kevin Keats won a couple of championships, and then Kevin Keats left, obviously, and his assistant coaches, many of them had come from there. In fact, one of them, who's on the sideline now, worked with and coached Beverly. So you see the connection by how the coaching staff recruits some of the players, and why Beverly, who had originally committed to Ohio State, and once Thad Matta got fired, said, I want to consider getting out of my scholarship here and go elsewhere. Look out. Kyle Alexander into row 3.
His length is certainly going to impact shots at the rim. And LeVar Batts takes us in there, and Kyle Alexander says, get that out.
Not up in here. Here's Beverly, and that's what he loves to do, is shoot the 3. Can't get that to go. And that win over Arizona, he came in and scored 20 points off the bench.
He came in and got it done. I mean, he was hitting threes. He was living in the paint. Got a nice little in-between game as well. He got his floater a couple times over DeAndre Ayton. Able to kind of finish the great giant killer, as they say.
You had success with Purdue when you went to tournaments, or did you not?
Yeah,
it has to do more with why Purdue this year, but Arizona, why the lack of success?
I mean, when I was young, we had some issues. We lost our freshman year. We played in the Las Vegas tournament over Christmas. I'm not even sure if it exists anymore. Didn't do well in that. By the time we were upperclassmen, my junior year, we won the tournament in St. Thomas. Actually beat Tennessee. But I think both those teams right now are just having some issues defending the basketball, which is surprising too, because I think both Matt Painter and Sean Miller coach teams are usually so disciplined, and they've kind of lost their way. We had the Arizona game, and NC State was getting straight line drives to the rim.
Yeah.
And it's things that they drill on a daily basis. You know, that it was baseline drives where the help side just doesn't come over. And I know both those coaches do drills to prepare for that, because every team does. So they've kind of got to find their way. They got to weather the storm. It's a big game for both these teams coming in tonight, just to kind of get back on track.
Yeah, you can see that on the Watch ESPN app. I guess more important, was there anything about those early season tournaments that you found, you learned from, so that your second, third, fourth year, you tried to prevent it? And maybe it's just the idea we haven't played together as a team in a competitive environment.
Right. I mean, my freshman year, we were just young. But I think as we got older and more experienced, you kind of know, how do I have to handle my body for these 3 days? It's a different deal. You know, you need rest. You need to eat right. You need to do those things.
Bernard Freeman ran hard into Davis, and he went down. Williams as well. He picks the ball up. We'll have a timeout and enjoy some of the sights that are the Atlantis Resort. The Bad Boy Mowers battle for Atlantis. Everybody on the same page. That was the case for Villanova today. Mikal Bridges outstanding. Jalen Brunson equally good. Northern Iowa hung around in this game. They were down by 6 and had 2 empty possessions late in the game. After the 2 empty possessions, Villanova came down, nailed the 3, and then they were dancing afterwards. And the question becomes, so who's going to be the tournament most valuable player? Will it be Bridges or Brunson? They seem like the 2 likely candidates. Dickie V and I had this discussion. He thinks it's going to be Brunson. I voted for Bridges, sort of within our own little family here, for player of the game. I think they're going to give it to, I guess they're going to give it to Brunson.
I think, though, I would agree with you, because I think Bridges impacts the game on both ends of the floor so much. And So if I was going to pick a guy, I'd go with Bridges. But to me, what was so impressive in the last 10 minutes of their win was just the way they shared the basketball. I mean, they were so fundamentally sound, making the extra pass, finding each other. You can tell that they are one as a team, and they really have played together for a long time.
No seniors, really impact seniors on that team, which is something Jay Wright, and you know as well as anybody. Villanova always has Josh Hart. They always have a senior leader.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have that this year.
But you know what? Jalen Brunson has been around a long time. He's won a national championship. He's seen a lot. So even though he's just a junior, he really probably has played enough games to be a guy that's like a senior.
No doubt. Booth as well. You take a look at what they've done since 2013. They've won every November tournament that they've gone to. Villanova. I believe next year they're going to Orlando to play in that tournament in November. And I assume that that's another victory for Jay Wright.
Start playing the home games down here in the islands.
Get your 7, get it done. Any warm weather climate when you're coming out of Pennsylvania in November, and you never know what kind of weather we're getting up there in November. It could be sunny and 80. It could also be snowing and 20. Cape Cod this time of year, it could be very cold. Very cold. So they're not going there. They're going to Orlando.
There you go.
That was a little easy for Grant Williams.
That was a grown man move by Grant Williams. Just puts his head down and takes it right to the big man.
Markel Johnson tries to do it himself, and he just got smothered. It's a tough guard for anybody. Admiral Schofield with his big body, and not a good shot.
He's got to take his time there. He's got a smaller guy on him. Take your time, back him down, read the defense, and see if you need to score the ball or make the next pass.
Little contact, no call. Johnson passes up a 3, kicks it back out top. Now Freeman a little long with it. Now he's looking for an open man, and Johnson will start it all over again. The three-point shooting hasn't been great. I'm curious if you think the environment, like this ceiling, which is about 30 feet above the floor, and the lighting has anything to do with it, or it's the legs.
I think it's a combination of both. I mean, I think you don't get much time in these gyms when you come to these events. So each team kind of got to practice for an hour, and you shoot around, you try to get comfortable, but at the end of the day, it's not like any place you've really probably ever played in. I mean, even your high school gym didn't have a 30-foot or 26-foot roof as they have here. So I think it's an adjustment, and the backgrounds are a little weird. It's not, the depth perception is certainly different. It's not very big. But at this point, I think tired legs are certainly a factor as well. These guys have played a lot of basketball down here. And that's also why we take a look here. It's a platoon sub for Tennessee.
Yep.
And that's a luxury that Rick Barnes has because he has enough guys to do that. NC State, on the other hand, maybe not so much.
Chris Darrington, he wears 32. He's into the game. Darrington, during their trip last summer, was one of the offensive stars, averaging about 14 points a game.
He came out of junior college, went to Vincennes, and Vincennes a program that has put out a bunch of pros. I mean, Carl Landry, Sean Marion, guys that have gone on to play in the NBA. Sean Marion, a couple-time All-Star in the NBA. So he comes from a big-time pedigree, and he scored the ball. He averaged over 20 points a game at one of the best JUCOs in the country. So far, he just hasn't been able to get on track. But a guy that's capable, and I think that could be said for James Daniel as well. And we've seen him show some signs of life. Last night was a good sign for him and for Tennessee.
Tennessee turning up a little more of the intensity on defense. That ball was deflected by Schofield at the rim. What a job there to keep it in, Lamonte Turner. And now Torrin Dorn with a steal.
Really good effort play there by Torrin Dorn. He never quit on the play. Ooh, they had him wide open under the basket.
Beverly, no, he just threw it up there, assuming that maybe Admiral Schofield would have quit on the defensive side, but he picked it up.
He made his mind up on that pass before he actually read the defense.
Switch is on, and your 7 got burned. Good job by James Daniel to use the window there and avoid the 7-footer in that wingspan. Tennessee's got a 17-10 lead. Beverly way short. And he's there to pick up his own miss. Braxton Beverly was a prolific high school scorer. Under 8 to go. Tennessee has got a 5-point lead. Robbie Hummel rejoins us when we come back. Welcome back, everyone. The PK 80 presented by State Farm. You got two brackets, the victory and the motion bracket. North Carolina and Arkansas. UConn, Kevin Ollie's team, unbeaten early this year. They haven't been tested like they will against Michigan State at midnight Eastern time. On the other side, the motion bracket, Bamba and Bagley battle in the Duke Texas showdown. Florida and Gonzaga, a couple of top 20 teams as well. As in the background, you can see Dick Vitale's cruise ship leaving the island of Nassau. No one else but Dick and his family on the cruise ship. What do you make with Bamba and Bagley? And Bagley's a little more help.
Well, just another great, I guess, non-conference matchup here with Marvin Bagley. We saw it on opening night with the Champions Classic. Bagley and Jaren Jackson going head-to-head. Now we get Mo Bamba and Bagley going. Should be a great game.
You figure with all the select teams and AAU teams that Bagley and Bamba would have faced off against each other at some point.
They probably played together at some point.
They've never played with or against each other. Yeah,
that's shocking. You see guys, even when I was playing AAU basketball, we'd see really everybody that was ranked in the top 150. You'd see them at least once.
Right.
So I maybe because AAU is so much more specialized now. You have the Nike EYBL circuit, you have the Adidas circuit, you have the Under Armour circuit. I guess back when I played, I'm trying to not make myself sound old, but back when I was playing, you had some tournaments that were all. I don't know if that's the case anymore.
I sat with Vitale during the first game. He's 78. You're not old.
Yeah.
I promise you, you're not there. And you don't have your own cruise ship yet either.
Yeah, I need to get on Dick's level there.
But the idea that you have two premier 7-footers, and later tonight on the app you'll see DeAndre Ayton. The idea that you've played against all those guys at the AAU level, then you get to a college. How do you sort of, well, it's a team thing, not just me against him.
Well, it's different because AAU is really more of a pickup feel. It's not always the best basketball being played, whereas in college, these coaches demand structure and they make you play the right way. And the good teams in college basketball, they do that. They share the ball. They don't over dribble. They make the right play every time. So, and Villanova would be a great example of that. So I think just seeing them tonight play, it's not going to completely be the Marvin Bagley versus the Mo Bamba show, whereas in an AAU tournament, that is what it would be.
You haven't seen this dude play, DeAndre Ayton. He has been terrific individually. I mean, averaging 22 and 14. He's been great. He's from the Bahamas, so he's played in front of big crowds here at Atlantis. The rest of his team, other than Lonzo Trier, really haven't contributed. They turned it over 20 times, but freakish athlete, right?
Freakish athlete and really skilled. I mean, he can face up and shoot the basketball out to the three-point line, at least the college three. So he's impressed me with that. He's got good touch. You watch him move, and it would happen to me sometimes, I guess, when I was playing for the Timberwolves, and I would just sometimes watch like a Kevin Durant or a LeBron James in warm-up, and they move differently than most guys. He's a guy that I would put into that category as well.
Yeah, his flexibility, again, he reminds me of a gymnast who plays basketball. A lot of these guys that are 7 feet, when they get out of a chair, you kind of have to spray some oil on them.
Walk and chew gum, but with him, that's not the problem. Great pass.
Good dish, and Alexander lays it in. Really good pass from Jordan Bone.
Kyle Alexander statistically maybe hasn't been great for Tennessee, but he made a big-time three in overtime against Purdue. Kind of kept them in it because they'd gotten out to a 5-0 deficit to start that overtime.
That game tonight, too, Ayton will deal with a couple of 7-footers, and Isaac Haas and Harms. And Haas has that sort of body that you almost have to, like, let's get that thing loose before we're ready to play
you talk
a game.
about two contrasting styles right there. I mean, Isaac Haas would be the traditional 7'2" guy.
Back to the basket.
DeAndre Ayton is the new age Joel Embiid, Kevin Durant. Kind of get your game on 7-footer.
Right. Lamonte Turner, high arcing three, goes back the other way, and Freeman is being held underneath the basket. That time by Jordan Bowden. And with that foul, we'll go one-on-one for Al Freeman. NC State, of course, lost one of the best players in college basketball last year to the NBA, and Dennis Smith Jr. And this feels like for Kevin Keats, it's going to be the sum of the parts might be greater than the individual player was last year. That's the goal,
That's
right?
100% accurate. And I think as he's able to recruit his type of guys, now he's done a really good job because he went on the transfer market, found 2 fifth-year guys in Sam Hunt and Al Freeman, and took them, and they're going to really bridge the gap into the Kevin Keats era. Now, he said to us, you know, I wasn't going to go out there and get 2 guys that were going to be high maintenance and we're going to be about our culture. But both those guys he felt were going to be just that. They're going to be low maintenance. They're going to help our team. And, I mean, Al Freeman already looking like a great pickup because he really went to work against Arizona. Now, he struggled yesterday. Hasn't shot it as well today, but he's a guy, just really 2 good pickups for Coach Keats.
Keats very animated on the sideline, coaching along with and playing along with his team. He wanted that trap that never got set.
Well, isn't he a guy though who just you watch him coach and you think I would want to play for that guy?
Yeah, he's as into the team as the team should be. You see Kevin Keats right there in his first year at NC State. He wasn't surprised by the victory over Arizona.
He definitely seen it in practice and in their first couple of games. They'd come out and they'd compete at each time.
Johnson having a hard time controlling the ball. Abu sees the lane, takes it in there. It's deflected, and Alexander does a good job, man-sized rebound.
He's controlling the paint right now, Carl. He is doing a very good job of protecting that rim.
Bad turnover. Watch out here with Dorn, and that's a bad play. Dorn saying up to the top. 10th turnover for NC State. Feels like everything's moving a little quick.
Yeah, I think we're kind of in fast forward right now out on the basketball court. That tends to happen in these late games. It's hard for these teams to get up.
All right, we'll take a 30-second timeout. Tennessee and Rick Barnes talking things over. Keats and NC State do the same. We're back, everyone. The battle for Atlantis, the Bad Boy Mowers Battle for Atlantis Championship. And weather has cooperated. The basketball, not necessarily if you were looking for the powers that be, the Arizonas and the Purdues of the world. Villanova's your champ. They've won already. And they will now head back to the Northeast and get set for another season of college basketball under Jay Wright.
We're going to have Arizona Purdue just on the wrong side of the bracket from what we thought.
It's a fair point. That's a fair point. Too many turnovers and not enough field goals made. That's been the story of this one so far in the first half. I would think for a game like that, though, because it's Purdue and because they're playing Arizona, vice versa, you should be, there's no excuse.
Well, for one, there's going to be an atmosphere in here because both teams brought big contingents of fans. So, you know, there's not, at 9 o'clock at night, there's really not a whole lot going on here. You're going to come to the game still, even though it's not the championship. So it's not going to be like it is kind of right now where there's that empty feeling. It's kind of hard to get yourself up. And honestly, this is a huge game for both teams. I mean, if you're Arizona or Purdue, you're trying to kind of get the wheels back on the car here and get going in the right direction. Because for both teams, you play in the Big Ten, you play in the Pac-12, you're going to see teams that are equally as good and much better than what they've seen here and lost to here.
Right. And the absence of Raleigh Alkins is certainly a reason why Arizona isn't playing to their potential.
Well, both teams aren't guarding, and we had talked about that earlier in this broadcast. It's just such a surprise. I mean, that's what they're both known for. They've kind of lost their identity here.
Chris Darrington's three makes it 25-16. Braxton Beverly being guarded tightly by Lamonte Turner. Beverly's open, and he will kick it to Abu, who goes baseline, and it goes. Nice pass by Beverly, who had an open shot for a second, didn't take it. We're under 4. Robbie Humble, Carl Ravitch, the Bad Boy Mowers battle for Atlantis. And you watch Abdul Malik Abu get the friendly roll and the foul.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Atlantis Paradise Island, Bahamas at heart, and Lowe's. Hurry in today for huge savings on all things winter.
Hello, everybody. Chris Cotter, Seth Greenberg, Land Rover halftime report coming your way in a little bit. Villanova champs, battle for Atlantis. We'll show you some highlights of how they did it. Plus, we'll preview Texas and Duke in the PK 80. And what do you make of the first half here?
I think the hardest thing to do as a coach when you play in a tournament, you lose a couple of games. Your players have to understand it. Each game is a separate entity to the NCAA selection committee. They're not looking at it as a tournament. Robbie, how did your coaches deal with that?
Well, I mean, for one, they just tried to get us to win the first game and the second game, but
these teams did win the first game.
Yeah, the second game, I guess. But it's tough because you got to come out and make them understand, like you said, Seth, that this is for our resume. And while it might not seem like it's the biggest game right now in November, come March, this is one that we need to have. It's against a power conference team, and it's an opportunity for us to bolster what we've got.
Yeah, I mean, that's the valid point is it doesn't matter if it's a third-place game or a seventh-place game.
No doubt, and that's why we talked about with Purdue and Arizona tonight. It doesn't matter if it's a seventh-place game at all. It's a huge game for both teams.
But I imagine Seth inside a locker room, and I'm sure Rick Barnes will do the same, and we know Kevin Keats is. You got to understand, NC State has 1 assist and 10 turnovers.
That's not going to get it done.
Are you kidding?
No, that's pretty unbelievable.
19 total turnovers, so they got 10. That means NC State's got Tennessee's got 9.
Well, NC State's bench also has been such a factor in this tournament. Tonight, it hasn't been the same.
Freeman launches one, looked good on the way. Beverly, nobody on him. He throws it up and hits the bottom of the basket. Even so, it's still only a 4-point game.
Yeah, and as a player right there, that's great for Braxton Beverly because you kind of have a rebound fall right in your lap and you're wide open. It's one of those situations where I can get myself going with a free basket.
Freeman pushes. Here's Johnson. Markell to the hole. He kicks. Abu got fouled, and he will go to the line to shoot 2. Rivalry weekend, 2 teams looking to avoid the upset and stay in the top 4. Saturday, Oklahoma takes on West Virginia. That's in Norman at 3:45. And then at 7:30, third-ranked Clemson takes on South Carolina. Both games on the app and can be found streaming on the ESPN app. And speaking of the ESPN app, right now, taking advantage of it, watching as Miami is losing 17-7 to Pitt with just about 3.5 to go in the 4th quarter. In a 4th and 5 situation for Miami. So that could throw the entire college football playoff system into a bit of a tailspin and make the games we just talked about even more significant. 17-7, Pittsburgh leads Miami. And you can see that on the Watch ESPN app or on ABC. Lose first free throw, no good. Second one short as well, and he may have left a little early.
He knew that one was short.
Yep,
as soon as he
it's
let
not
that one
going
go.
in. So I'm going to go get it. Deflection there. Beverly had it. He then lost it to Lamonte Turner.
I haven't heard much from Jordan Bowden so far.
No. One bucket. Good keep, and the offensive rebound gives him a fresh clock. Beverly reaches in, he steals it, and he takes it all the way for the easy lay-in. Braxton Beverly has 9 now, and it's a 2-point game.
He just read that pin down and shot the gap. Ran right through the pass. Really good anticipation there by Braxton Beverly. Tennessee running a little bit of a pattern offense there, and Braxton Beverly taking advantage. Knew the screen was coming. Lays it out for the nice long finish. Really kept it out there so that defense couldn't get to it. Knew Tennessee was closing down, but he held that ball out away from his body. Not letting the length and athleticism of Tennessee really affect that shot.
Second free throw, good. Can update that Miami football game. It's now 24-7 in favor of Pittsburgh. And Seth Greenberg will break that touchdown down for you with Chris Carter, I'm sure, during the half. But that is going to be it for Miami now, 24-7. So that's a huge story in the college football side. Back here at the battle for Atlantis, another turnover.
Tennessee's doing a phenomenal job inside pick and roll defense. They're not letting NC State get into any action there. Doing a great job with the bigs, forcing that ball down to the baseline. And it's been hard for NC State to really get anything going in pick and roll.
There you go. Oh, well, Booth, he lost it. See, they had that play set up, right, and he looked like, again, moving too quickly.
Yeah, they're just sped up right now, and that was really one of the first times we've seen it. Maybe that presence of Kyle Alexander coming over to block the shot kind of got into a Booth's head. Almost like in football, he heard footsteps.
Tennessee does a good job breaking that press, and they try to set it up as NC State pressures a little bit. 10 on the shot clock. Bone all the way to the hoop. The kick for a 3. Nope. Good rebound and lost, and we'll get a foul on the floor. Who's that against? Call that on Al Freeman.
Yeah. That was a good offensive possession for Tennessee, though. Jordan Bone whips his man off the dribble on the baseline, and Lamonte Turner fills into that weak side corner, as you're taught to do as a shooter. They get a good look. Unable to knock it down, but Alexander there to clean it up and unable to knock down the one-on-one.
All right, so we're under 23 seconds timeout, and we'll see what Kevin Keats is going to plan here. And I was going to ask this on the last possession. So even if you're struggling with the high pick and roll, who do you go to offensively if Freeman's struggling? And I think after the first game, you're like, well, Al Freeman, he's going to.
Yeah,
who are you going to?
If it's the Arizona game, I'd go Al Freeman, and if it's last night, I'd go to one of their bigs. You're at 7. Tonight, it's kind of a mixed bag. You know, you haven't really had anybody going yet, so you're going to want to revert to what you do well. You know, if they're a side pick and roll team and they've run a lot of side pick and roll, that's what I'm going to stick with, because that's really what I know. So I think if you're NC State, you're going to go to your strength, or run some side pick and roll. Tell your point guard it's probably going to be Braxton Beverly, maybe Al Freeman, to be aggressive, get into that paint, suck that defense in, and then find your big or get to the rim.
I mean, at some point you have to kind of get an identity, right, with what team you are.
Yeah.
And last night they launched a lot of three-pointers and didn't make a lot.
Right.
Today they're 0 for 7.
Yeah, and I think if you watch the good college basketball programs, they don't worry about what you do. They worry about what are we going to do. We're going to impose our will because this is what we're good at. They have principles, and they're always different. You know, each team has what they're good at, and they work on those. And you know, that's what the Dukes do of the world. Duke does mostly the same thing every year. They're just really good at it.
Shot blocked with 7 seconds to go. They get the rebound. Loose ball here. Tennessee's got a chance with 4. He's going to go all by himself and lay it in. He had 2 men ahead of him, but instead, Lamonte Turner decides to take it himself, or Jordan Bone, I should say, and he makes that basket. Boy, he had time running down with a man ahead of him.
Yeah, well, he showed his speed right there, and you're right. Did have some guys ahead of him. Lamonte Turner is there, but you're going to get an and one? Okay, but if you're not going to pass it, you better score it.
Turner was like,
I am wide open.
I'm out here. Big three-point play at the end of the half to make it a 7-point cushion with 1-2 to go. A steal, another chance. Oh, Lamonte Turner, who didn't get the pass, nearly had the 3. We're going to take a timeout. Our halftime score, Tennessee 30, NC State 23. After this break, Chris Cotter, Seth Greenberg in the studio. Miami's made it a little tighter, 24-14. Basketball and football after the break. Hope you enjoyed the halftime report. This is the Bad Boy Mowers Battle for Atlantis alongside Robbie Hummel. I'm Carl Ravitch, and not yet ready to shut it down and go to the beach. Tennessee and NC State have another half to play, and for their sake, I'm sure both coaches hope it's a lot better than the first half. Some of the numbers were just awful. Combined 18 for 54 from the field. NC State had 16 turnovers and 1 assist. The good news for Tennessee was they had Jordan Bone.
Yeah, no, I mean, he really got them going, and he was really their only offense that was consistently making plays for this Tennessee team. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see as we move into the second half, can they get somebody going like a Grant Williams or like an Admiral Schofield, because we really haven't heard much from those guys. But Jordan Bone finishing the half strong with the and one, really giving Tennessee some momentum going into the second half.
Here are those numbers as our first half stats are brought to you by Atlantis. 3-point shots, 5 for 19. NC State didn't make any. They went 0 for 8. And the turnover number is not good. And Tennessee's turned those 16 turnovers into 18 points. But again, forget what this is, which is a third-place game. And understand that if this was a non-conference game on the schedule, NC State and Tennessee, you want to win this game.
No doubt.
This is an important game.
This is a huge game for both teams. So as we come down the stretch here in the second half, I'm sure it had to be mentioned at halftime. You know, these coaches know what's at stake. You're trying to make the NCAA tournament for the first time in multiple years for both programs here.
Torin Dorn took it to the hole. He was blocked there by number 2, Grant Williams. Yeah, just consider it an SEC, ACC challenge game. It's a good point. Dorn, not a good three-point shooter, but he'll bury one there, and a good start to the second half for Torin Dorn.
He shot the basketball really well here at the Atlantis. Made some big threes against Arizona. Known more as a slasher. Right there, stepping into that with confidence and knocking it down.
Folks in the program will tell you, too. He's one of those guys, when you make the first one, he's likely to make a bunch of it. When you miss the first one, that's when they... Good pass to Alexander, missed the layup in the battle for the rebound. 2 Tennessee players, and they end up with a travel.
That ball just kind of slips out of Kyle Alexander's hands, and Schofield and Alexander both kind of going for it there.
See in the background there on that shot, Rick Barnes basically sitting on the bench with his head in his hand. Not up, not animated. Intense character, Rick Barnes, very intense, really good coach, had a lot of success. Another three-pointer. They continue to rely on the long ball, and it misses there. It is amazing we haven't seen Grant Williams post up like he's trying to do here and get that ball back.
Yeah, they need to get him back, get the basketball back in his hands. Torin Dorn, good pass. That's good basketball right there.
Schofield misses, but the size advantage shows there with Kyle Alexander. No one's going to remember what it looked like when the season is over and you count up the number of wins you have.
That's the thing. It doesn't matter if you win by 1 or 20. All that matters is you get that W. And for both teams right now, trying to make that next step, trying to get to an NCAA tournament, and really establish a culture.
Alexander with the reach. She'll get called for the foul. A couple of national championship banners will be hung once again at NC State's home facility. They're kind of missing for a while, but they'll be back celebrating the Jimmy V National Championship, 74 and 83. Kevin Keats said it's going to take a little time, but it comes with effort and culture, and there's some effort from Al Freeman. Set a good screen, and he was able to dunk it in.
That might be their best offensive possession of the game. And that's a set play for Leonard Freeman to kind of get a look, and a great cross screen set there by NC State to free him.
Williams with a size advantage over Torin Dorn, so he shoots up over him, and instead an air ball. NC State pushes with Beverly. Good bounce pass underneath, and all of a sudden NC State got a little hop in their step. Alexander on the other end, a very nice pass from Bowden for the flush. Kevin Keats likes Braxton Beverly's playing a lot.
No, he's gotten a lot of minutes here at the Atlantis, and I think he's just been a guy that can handle the basketball against pressure and make shots. He kind of spreads this defense out. Take a look here. We're going to look at Leonard Freeman. We circle him with the telestrator. And he is going to get a great cross screen here by Markel Johnson. Kyle Alexander tries to go over the top, then gambles. Really nice play call there by Kevin Keats. Kind of get this big man going. He'd come into this tournament averaging about 16.2 points a game, and it's kind of fallen off, but we see him right there again.
All of a sudden, the assist total, they've like tripled their assist total from the first half when they had one.
They shared the basketball here in the second half.
Yep. Grant Williams trying to use his muscle against a pretty big body, and they're going to get the foul on Leonard Freeman, the senior. He got some experience on the team. You mentioned it. Freeman senior, Abu senior. So while the transition took place, you still have some senior leadership on this club for Kevin Keats. Second team all ACC preseason, Grant Williams. How about Alexander? Just using that size to pull one down. Another chance here.
He's impacted the game. Yeah. I mean, he's been a guy that's come in here and maybe not scored the basketball, but he's protected the rim, gotten him extra possessions.
Williams wide open. Darrington buries a three. Good look from Grant Williams to Darrington in the corner.
Well, Grant Williams drawing that attention there on the block. Finds his shooter. He's a big body. When Torin Dorn guards him, they're going to have to bring help. He did a good job there of finding his guy on the opposite side of the floor.
Tough pass. In traffic and a turnover.
A great defense. I mean, that is textbook right there, pick and roll. Oh, God.
Wow, did he go down hard. We got a foul offensively. Leonard Freeman hit it really hard. So did Beverly. Everybody up and okay. Second half, a little crisper. 15:35 to play at the Atlantis Resort in the battle for Atlantis. It's a 6-point game.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Atlantis Paradise Island, Bahamas at heart, and Lowe's. Hurry in today for huge savings on all things winter.
You're watching ESPN's Feast Week, presented by Lowe's. That is a little speeded up. We don't move that speed at the Bahamas, do you?
No, it's whether you're at a restaurant or you're on the beach, it's in slow motion here.
Chill time. Island time is right. 4 assists, only 1 turnover for NC State. They're down 6, and you can see the shooting percentage much better. Markel Johnson gets that high screen, throws it into the corner. Freeman, that ball got plugged up there. Looked like the block on the ensuing play came in from Derek Walker to get a hand on it.
NC State keeps going back to that side pick and roll action. And Tennessee has done such a good job of flooding that weak side, bringing bodies over. And there's really just nowhere to go.
Try the full court pressure, and Tennessee able to get through that with the big fella Grant Williams coming back to help out. Williams wide open, yeah. They left him wide open, and he makes him pay.
Just a miscommunication by NC State. They're trying to triple switch there, keep a big on Grant Williams, and nobody guards him. Finds himself wide open.
Three misses, but Freeman working hard. Nice left-handed return.
You kind of cleaned up the mess there, but that's what's going to be there for NC State. We saw your 7 hit threes on that same play yesterday. Tennessee doing a good job of stunting to him as a shooter. That skip pass will be there.
Walker kicks it. Extra pass and a contested 3 off the iron. Here's NC State. That pass is too short. Good hustle by Johnson. Foul out top going to be called on Tennessee's Lamonte Turner. The victory and the motion bracket. That's what the PK 80 is. The semifinal action today. See it on ESPN. North Carolina and Arkansas currently playing a little later, midnight Eastern time. The Huskies of UConn and the Spartans of Michigan State championship Sunday on the victory bracket, 8:30 Eastern time. After that one, the championship game between the winner of Duke, Texas and Florida Gonzaga. That's the motion bracket as the PK 80 honoring Phil Knight, his 80th birthday, continues to play out here in November. Good ball fake. That one's way too long, though. There's Freeman again picking up the missed shot.
Just imposing his will right here. And we said he's kind of struggled here in this tournament, but today, able to get going on the offensive glass.
How about that shot? Walker over your 7.
Both teams finally starting to get into a flow. See in both those last 2 offenses, guys making plays for others.
Braxton Beverly did a good job to get himself open for the shot, just couldn't convert it. Then Walker and Freeman, big bodies, battle for the ball. It's going to be because of the possession arrow going to Tennessee.
Leonard Freeman is really playing hard. I mean, he has really upped his energy here. 10 points, 8 in the second half.
They continue to apply pressure. Both these teams, I think this season you'll see a lot of pressure. Full court applied. Tennessee knows what South Carolina did to them. They'd like to kind of emulate some of that.
Sure. Well, they've kind of set a model for them in terms of how they can win.
Foul on your 7. Tennessee kicked him by 27 last year, and it wasn't necessarily that a pressure defense is trying to cause steals, but it's supposed to kind of wear you down.
Just wears you down. And if you're a point guard and you're facing constant pressure for 40 minutes, 94 feet, it just wears you out. And you see it at the end of the game when that happens. A lot of guys just don't have the legs to make shots or make plays. And for a point guard, that's so important. We saw it on that last possession right there. Tennessee finally, with their point guards, getting into the paint and making some plays and really able to penetrate this defense.
Not only Kayla is Syracuse all-time leading shot blocker and scorer, but now a star on the WNBA.
Pretty athletic family. Dad played at Niagara.
Yep.
Pretty good genes.
What about the Hummel genes?
My dad played tennis at Illinois, so he did play collegiate sports. My brother played college football at Grand Valley State.
Why wouldn't you go to Illinois then?
They didn't really want me to go there, so.
What?
Yeah.
The Hummel train didn't extend.
Yeah, I mean, they were recruiting some other guys, and they had Eric Gordon committed.
Yep.
And they signed Bill Cole.
You and Eric Gordon are different players.
No doubt. And they were looking at Derek. They thought they were getting Derrick Rose. Had some guys committed, and yeah, you know, it just didn't work out. But you look back on it, it's like it was the best thing for me, because I was in a situation where I could have success, and I was playing with guys that were really fun to play with. We had a really good group of guys.
Yeah, you did. Antoine Moore, Juwan Johnson, Beverly, all the way to the basket. He lays it up and in to cut it to a 5-point lead.
What a finish for Braxton Beverly. Pushing the pace and flying in there.
There he is, Braxton Beverly. He is a freshman, and he's getting all sorts of minutes. And he is now trying his best to keep the NC State Wolfpack in it. Little Chris Corciani going here for Braxton Beverly. He became eligible about 3 hours before Game 3, and Kevin Keats is delighted to add Braxton Beverly to the squad.
Braxton Beverly getting things going for this NC State offense in the second half. So look what I found there. But really, the guard's got it done in transition as well. Able to get out, get some steals, get some easy buckets, get himself going. Nice little acrobatic finish there. He's got 10 points on 5 of 9 shooting. Nice little night here for the freshman guard.
No doubt. They've been able to chip away at it, but never getting really much closer than this 5, 6, 7 point range. As Alexander makes the first of 2 free throws. Alexander with 9 points now.
It's kind of been a theme of this whole tournament. Teams just hanging around. And you don't finish teams off and give them that opportunity. Strange things can happen.
Yeah, they learned that lesson yesterday, Robbie. We saw it against Northern Iowa.
They felt like they were in control of this game, or that game. Just really never able to get it done.
Good hands. Jordan Bowen deflects that out of bounds. If you're not been following college basketball today, Villanova, champion of the Battle for Atlantis. They played that game at noon Eastern time here, and they were able to defeat University of Northern Iowa. Both Jalen Brunson and Mikal Bridges, terrific games. Going to get a foul underneath. That's a good look from Abu, and he read the lips of Kevin Keats. He looked at him and said, that's a good pass.
Yeah, it is, and sometimes it's hard for those bigs, you know. Your 7 thought Abu was shooting the basketball. It's a tough catch. Good job by your 7 to have the hands and the awareness. It was actually a pass to him. You see it so often where guys do that, start shooting the basketball, end up passing and throw it right out of bounds.
And 7's looking for a place to go with it. Finally, the escape valve is Beverly.
Your 7 keeps setting these picks, and he needs to roll because Tennessee has snuffed out his pop.
5 on the shot clock for Beverly, who penetrates, and the finger roll won't go. Your 7 battles, and it's Tennessee now with a 2-on-1 chance. Good pass to the trailer. The ball blocked at the rim. Again, down 6, looking for a possession with points, and instead another empty possession, and a foul going to be called against Abu.
Just a tough shot there for Al Freeman, in and out, iron unkind. Passing for Tennessee pretty good. Bowden trails in, but NC State's bigs right there. Been active all week here at the Atlantis.
Credit your 7 with the block. That first game we just talked about, though, Northern Iowa was down 6, and twice they came down late in the second half and came up empty. Could have been a 4, could have been a 2-point ball game. Instead, the resulting possession was a 3-pointer from Villanova. It made it 9, and that was it. There's a 3 attempt. Daniel fouled out top, so we'll go shoot 3 free throws as Markel Johnson banged him with the body. First free throw good. Tennessee today from the free throw line, 9 of 13. I think the biggest challenge for a tournament, all of these tournaments in November, this idea that you can play during the day, one day, you come back the next night and play, and then you got to play the next day.
Well, and sometimes those quick turnarounds too. If you played at night, and then you've got the day game, you're not actually getting a full day's rest. It can be you're playing on 14 hours. You've spent so much energy in a college basketball game. That's why you see these tired legs and these short jumpers.
A layup that was missed. So again, another empty possession for NC State. 47-38, chance to make it double digits. Grant Williams to the hole, and they're going to get a foul on Freeman. A little more aggressive play from Grant Williams, the senior forward.
He didn't settle there. He utilized his shot fake, got the defender in the air, and then drove him right to the rim. And he initiated that contact. He grinded him all the way to the basket. And if you're a big body and you're a strong guy, like Grant Williams is, that's exactly what you want to see out of your power forward.
Largest lead of the game. Tennessee now up by 10.
Kind of feel it slipping away here from NC State. We've had some empty possessions. Need to get a good shot here. Leonard Freeman, a guy that had kept them in it earlier, he's a guy I'd like to see them maybe run another set for. Get him an easy basket.
Al Freeman got banged. He's able to still make that shot.
Yeah, tough one at that. Tough. I mean, that is it's a big time finish.
Three-pointer, and that one is good. That's a good three-point shooter in Jordan Bowden.
With just a little inside-out action, and Tennessee getting it into their big man. He finds the shooter. Tennessee trying to pull away.
"28 teams, 14 matchups,
All kinds of stars.
That's absolutely beautiful.
one challenge. The Big Ten ACC Challenge starts Monday.
You got those two conferences. You're going to have a lot of great matchups. It starts Monday with the Terps and the Orange at 7 Eastern time, and then it's the Badgers and the Cavs at 9 Eastern time. Those two schools for Wisconsin and Virginia, by the way, I believe on that 2018 Battle for Atlantis lineup.
Attack that pressure, NC State. Maybe. Oh.
Right on line. That was an attack.
Yeah, there you go.
Al Freeman gets it to go, and that's a big one, 51-43.
He struggled a little bit from the field today, but a big shot for NC State.
Ooh, an answer right back. And that's the second consecutive three for Jordan Bowden.
And that's the second possession we've seen Grant Williams work out of the post and find a shooter in the opposite corner. He attracts so much attention with his scoring ability inside.
Good pass, and Freeman, no, he can't get it to go, but he was in a great position. Leonard Freeman to make that bucket, and then go to the line. Instead, he'll go to the line, shoot 2, under 8 to go. The battle for Atlantis. And Rick Barnes letting Lamonte Turner know wasn't pleased with what he just saw.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Bad Boy Mowers, classic American muscle, mow with an attitude, and Atlantis Paradise Island, Bahamas at heart.
Tennessee doing a good job kind of playing the Heisman role. They keep NC State at a distance. Battle for Atlantis, the top performers. DeAndre Ayton is still to be seen tonight on the ESPN app. Bridges and Brunson, they'll go home with the championship. How can you not be impressed with what Tawan Pickford did for Northern Iowa? In one game, he had 18 points and 18 rebounds.
Yeah, I mean, he's all 6'3", and he's not one of those guards that looks like he's been, a football player. He just attacks the glass, and he stays with the basketball, and he plays with such energy. I mean, he never quits on a play, and in their win yesterday, he was just big time. I mean, He made shots, he kept possessions alive.
You tell me, because you get to like MVP voting in baseball and that debate about, well, my team has to win in order for you to be considered. If Ayton goes for like 30 and 15 tonight, his numbers.
No, his numbers would, but I would just have an issue
with the team not winning.
Team that's 1-2 or 0-3 giving him the MVP. It's got to be, to me, it's got to be one of the two from Villanova. Both those guys played really well and played winning basketball.
So that's how you'd vote for an MVP in baseball. Like Aaron Judge isn't getting it for you, Altuve's getting it.
Now, maybe not, because the Yankees were in the playoffs. They weren't a bad team. I think that if you've had a year that's exceptional, well, he has a great cut.
The extra pass, but Alexander's not inclined to shoot that ball. We're at 4, 3 on the shot clock. Penetration and a high arcing shot doesn't go. NC State pulls it away.
Good find. Oh,
great block by Alexander. He pinned it. We'll call 2.
Let's take another look. We thought it was a good block here at the table. 7 goes up, and that is a close play. That's a block.
That's a block. I mean, the ball continued to roll towards the basket. He blocked it on the way up.
Yeah, and that call was made from about 50 feet from the rim. That's a lucky break there.
Oh, I see what you did there, because I believe it was Jamie Lucky who made the call. I see what you did.
Definitely on purpose right there. Yeah. You're Tennessee, you want to get this basketball to Grant Williams, let him operate.
Tough shot, but it opens up the rebounding lane for Alexander, and he missed an easy putback.
Just a missed opportunity as he had the ball at the rim.
We got slow motion for a while. 2 NC State Wolfpack players down on the floor. Look at how high up Alexander goes to get this, Robbie. I mean, he can't convert.
Athletically, he is off the charts, and he finds himself all by himself. Just flush that one, big man. Yeah, just a missed opportunity right there. That's one of those buckets where you think, we can pull away, kind of put this game to bed. NC State not able to capitalize, though, on the other end.
And when do you think Kevin Keats, and how is he going to convince his team we're not a 3, they're 2 for 13.
Yeah, no, I know.
And they keep shooting.
And we saw it yesterday against Northern Iowa. They had an advantage inside. Now, maybe not so much today because of Kyle Alexander and Grant Williams' length. But, they've had some good things happen when they've worked the ball inside. Leonard Freeman has not gotten enough touches, nor has Omer Yurtseven.
Wonder what the message is going to be, and it's pretty easy. You just show the film, but they have hoisted 13 threes and made just 2 of them. Leonard Freeman picks up his 4th personal foul. Tennessee's got a lot of depth. They don't have a ton of size,
but they're long. I mean, Schofield at the 3, Grant Williams, at the 4, gives you somebody that can play inside, and then Alexander with his size and length.
Remind everybody on this busy day of sports in which the Miami Hurricanes lost a football game. Tonight on SportsCenter at 11 after the Virginia Tech game with Virginia. Marty Smith one-on-one with Nick Saban. Marty Smith one-on-one with anybody's good. Saban should be great. Also, look back at what may be the greatest Ohio State-Michigan game of them all. And the Cavs go for 7 in a row. What has changed for LeBron and his team that's allowed them to win 6 in a row? SportsCenter at 11 always streams live on the ESPN app. That Iron Bowl is going to be classic. That Miami loss today opens the door up for many teams, Auburn included. They knock off Alabama. How far does Alabama fall? 6-point game. NC State continues to need stops. This is about as close as they've had it. Williams, nice move, and he's able to knock it in.
But I love that he didn't settle. You know, once again, he uses his shot fake. And as a capable 3-point shooter, NC State has to respect that, but he gets to the rim. He gets to his bread and butter. And right there, a tough finish.
There you go. Your 7 has it. He kicks it to Beverly. Shot is blocked, and a nice recovery by James Daniel.
What a recovery and what a closeout. Could have shot that basketball right there if you're Grant Williams, but he just goes right to the rim. Just a smart play. Gets the closeout. That's what you want to see from your veterans.
There's
your guys that have played a lot of basketball.
No doubt. Jump ball, and that ball will go possession arrow to NC State. Now, since nobody ever had possession of it, that shot clock is down to 2 seconds.
I think the refs are going to go take a look and make sure that 2 seconds is correct.
James Daniel showing his athletic ability on a closeout with Braxton Beverly ready to launch that 3. Let's take a look at the shot clock. That's the number they're going to look at. So nobody ever gained possession of it.
No.
That's about right. 3 or 2.
2 or 3.
You going 2 or 3?
I'm going to go with 3.
You're a shooter. You need that extra second. Give me 3.
Yeah. I want to be able to maybe get my game on, get a little head fake.
Let
the defense fly by me and knock down an open one.
You were a terrific shooter. Were you a big ball fake, head fake guy?
I was, and I used it really to get to my mid-range game. Because I wasn't the fastest guy, but I was able to use that, and I could get to a pull-up, occasionally get to the rim. Not often, sometimes.
Why do you think that players don't use it as often as you guys used to?
I just think it's just such an underutilized play. And if you can shoot the basketball, the defense has to respect that. And guys are going to close out to you. So when you make shots and you head fake, that D flies out, man, you can drive. That's the hardest thing to do on a basketball court as a defender, I think, is to close out and contain your man. And we've seen it with Grant Williams. He's done an excellent job a couple times tonight where he has utilized that fake and blown by his defender right to the rim.
So they continued to discuss it. They had made a decision with 2 seconds on the shot clock to give it to NC State. But both Rick Barnes and Kevin Keats curious about how they concluded to do that. They called a foul. Did they call a foul on Williams? That wouldn't. I didn't see that. Tennessee fans heard the announcement over the public address announcer and went nuts, saying that's Williams' 4th foul, and every Tennessee fan that's here is saying 3.
And he's not even really involved in the play.
No, he didn't do anything. So Jamie Luckey, Clarence Armstrong, Lamar Simpson. I'm going to guess that when it's all said and done, they'll end up getting it right because there's enough video evidence to show that, nope, that wasn't a foul on Williams. And he's got a lot of help from Tennessee fans behind him. And Rick Barnes straddling the coaching line.
He is posted up over there. So we need to keep this guy in the game. Well, to me, this is a play that shouldn't be taking this long.
Of course not.
We looked at it and we saw that in 2 seconds. You know? It's what when replay, you just wonder about that. Why did these plays have to take a minute or two to figure out?
Okay, so Williams, they've corrected it. 3 fouls. No foul on that play.
You saw him say right there, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were right. He just said we were trying to make sure who the foul was on, so they got it right.
2 seconds to go in that shot clock, and that is a shot clock violation, and no foul called on that play. Freeman said, wait, do we have the whistle?
Yeah, there to go.
It'd be kind of neat to just erase like the last 2 minutes from our lives.
Yeah.
With what just happened and then what didn't happen.
What went down? Not a whole lot of anything.
Yeah, he jumped. Every trip important for NC State with 5:29 to go. Still within 8. The largest lead has been 11. Tennessee has led the entire game, and the closest that NC State has gotten has been 5 all day. Great move by Williams. No help there. Markel Johnson rips it away.
Braxton Beverly might step into that one and let that one fly.
Given the way they're shooting it, Markel Johnson lets it go. That's a big 3. And now the lead is down to 5, which is as close as NC State's been all day.
Quite the swing there, too. Grant Williams misses the layup. A little helter-skelter basketball here.
You're at 7. He went up, and because he's 7 feet, that alley-oop had to be thrown even higher than Alexander could get. NC State with 4.5 on the clock. And the ball.
God, you're 7 inside. It's got Jordan Bowden. There you go. Let the big fella get going right there.
That's it. He threw it towards that rim. Hoped he got a good call. He doesn't. But he'll pick up the foul. He'll go to the line. What about Markel Johnson's 3?
Yeah, Braxton Beverly with a little dribble penetration. Lamonte Turner just can't get back in time. And a big shot there for NC State. They just got to keep getting stops. Keep getting stops and keep getting good shots. I know that sounds simple. In a game like today where we've seen both teams struggle to sometimes manufacture some offense. And that hurts.
Big free throw. It's missed. Markel Johnson's 3-pointer. The first points he's got today. Back on the floor come Admiral Schofield and Jordan Bone. Alexander and Lamonte Turner go to the sideline for Rick Barnes.
Schofield having a rough day. And you see him with his size. Think about threes guarding him. You think he's a guy that can stick him on the block and take advantage of that.
Schofield 0 for 6 today. He banged up his shoulder.
Yeah, in that Purdue game. Running into Isaac Haas will do that to you.
Yeah. They get it to Williams. He gets the basket and the foul.
Well, he has made plays at every big moment in this tournament for Tennessee. Whether it's the Purdue game or tonight, Tennessee does a good job attacking this pressure under control. But they find a streaking Grant Williams, who puts it on the floor and finishes over the big man. You're at 7.
And just like that, story of the game has been the inability of NC State to get any closer than 5.
And Tennessee has really answered every time the NC State is threatened.
Beverly, good pass there.
It is.
Little challenge from Yurt 7. Grant Williams says, no worries, big fella.
Yeah.
Less than 4 to go. NC State going to the free throw line. 7-point game at the Battle for Atlantis.
We talked about Grant Williams in the open. And really, that was just mostly his scoring, but he's gotten it done on all ends of the floor. Knocking down jumpers, defending the rim, playing out of the post and finding his teammates. Showing off why he is going to be one of the best players in the SEC for the next couple years. And he really has been the difference here throughout the second half.
10 points.
And I think when you have a guy that he can score the basketball, he defends, he protects the rim, the guy that's multifaceted. We talked about it a lot tonight. He's gotten to the rim and not settled for three-pointers.
Right.
And so many guys, they do. You know, it's easier to shoot that three.
30 points against Georgia last year. He said he only had 4 rebounds, and that's something that can't happen. 13 points today. He's got 5 rebounds, 3 assists. He was sat down by Rick Barnes in the preseason. He said, that was my ego getting in the way, and I gotta get past that. And the coach was right in doing what he did.
But credit to him for recognizing that.
Absolutely.
Preseason game, a lot of time in the season, a lot of time to fix things. Didn't let it linger into the year.
They go to him again with 4 on the shot clock. He leans into one, and it's too long. Good defense by Malik Abu.
Stayed down the shot fake that time. Didn't let him get by.
Good pass. Really good pass. Yurt 7 had his legs taken out from under him.
Could have been a foul. Should have been a foul.
4-point game, as close as NC State has been all day.
You need to be disciplined here on defense. Keep those Tennessee guards in front of you. Don't give up anything going to the rim. Make them score over the top.
Abu and Williams one-on-one. Tough shot. Can't get it to go, and NC State with a rebound. See if they go back to Yurt 7. He's been terrific here, scoring the last 4.
He's got a guard on him right now. Grant Williams behind him, but open players on the floor.
Nowhere to go for Markel Johnson. He lost it. He's going to get called for the foul. Kevin Keats all the way out on the floor. Thought that his guy was fouled.
Markel Johnson, the dribble penetration, gets into the air. And when you jump in the air, there's just nowhere to go sometimes. And right there, Tennessee defense doing a good job of closing down the basket on him.
That's the 5th foul on Markel Johnson, so number 11 is going to go to the bench. There's a chance, though. Again, you're down 4. You got the ball. It just speeds up a little bit, that turnover. And just like that, Bowden's able to convert. It could be a 6-point game.
As a coach, you know, you'll live with a missed shot, but an empty possession where it's a turnover like that's frustrating. Because if you run good offense and you just miss it, you're executing. You know, you're getting better as a team. You're giving yourself a chance. Right there, you know, when you do that, you turn the basketball over. You're just not giving yourself a chance to get any points.
Yeah, I don't know what the number is, but there's probably not a ton of teams that win games with 20 turnovers.
No.
And they have 20 now. 20 turnovers in the game for NC State. 2 free throws good, so it's 61-55 with 2 minutes and 37 to go. Another reminder of the semifinal action today and tonight from PK 80. UNC and Arkansas currently on ESPN. That game out of the victory bracket. Midnight a.m. Eastern time, UConn and Michigan State. Connecticut did not have a good year last year, but so many of their central players were hurt. They're healthy this year, so we'll see what Kevin Ollie's team does as the season progresses. They'll take on Tom Izzo's Michigan State team, and Izzo said that Miles Bridges is a game-time decision. Tweaked his ankle. Said if it was a tournament, he'd be playing. We'll see if he plays tonight. Number 1 Duke takes on Texas, and Florida and Gonzaga battle 11 Eastern time on ESPN. So all sorts of individual superstars. You got Bagley and Bamba in that Duke-Texas game. But again, you have 2 sides, 8. They don't meet for a championship. Still a chance. You got a chance to watch Duke last night. Played very disciplined against one of those Portland teams. Their size is, I think, obviously it's different for Krzyzewski this year. He's got like 9 7-footers.
Yeah, no, I mean, they've got so many guys that can throw at you in their front court. But back to that PK80 bracket, I mean, that to me looks like a regional semifinal with the teams they have. I mean, what an event that they have put together. And you have some programs there that have won a lot of basketball games. Great event for the fans.
Great event, great venue. So again, the PK80 on now and on tonight as well. Here at the Imperial Ballroom, battle for Atlantis, the Bad Boy Mowers down to the last 2.5 of this one. And we haven't heard from Freeman in a while, and he can't get that one to go. So another empty possession for NC State.
Good job by Tennessee there on the help defense. 2 and 3 guys there to contest Freeman's shot. And then go back to this man.
Line drive, three-pointer. Alexander picks up the rebound and buys 30 more seconds.
And does the smart thing, kicks it out to his guard. They're going to run this shot clock down. Try to put NC State away.
Bone one-on-one, hanging in and out. Rebound, NC State. Al Freeman, 1-on-2. He's not going to stop. Lost it for a second, then he got fouled, so he got a break there. He got bailed out.
Absolutely bailed out. As a player, you've got to see that. I know they need points in a hurry, but this is an out-of-control drive here by Al Freeman. James Daniels back. And there's just nowhere to go. He's absolutely very fortunate that he's at the line to get some points here for NC State.
Al Freeman has not had a good day shooting, and that's putting it mildly. 3 for 17 and 1 of 8 from three-point land.
And they want him to be aggressive, but he's a guy that he needs to pick his spots sometimes. I think he's also kind of settled for some threes.
7 had a chance on that loose ball, and he couldn't come up with it. So we're at a minute now. And Tennessee is up by 5. Abu has played Williams real tough. Man in the air on the ball fake, and that worked out beautifully for Jordan Bowden. That's a big 2.
Maybe a back-breaking basket there for this NC State team. Got to get a bucket here.
Good dish. You're at 7. Ooh, men at the rim, but they're going to get a foul. They're going to call that on Grant Williams.
Well, I just feel like in the last 2 days when we've seen NC State, good things happen when Omer Yurtseven gets the basketball. Take a look here. We've talked about the shot fake all night. And when you have to be respected as a shooter, you get yourself open shots. And there Beverly with a nice pass to Yurtseven. Again in and out.
Their 8th free throw missed in this game, and now 9. And NC State is, because of that, likely going to lose this game. Down the other end will go for 2 free throws. 13 of 22.
Tough to win close games when you don't convert at the line. It's missed opportunities.
They're just going to have to figure out what type of team they are offensively.
Exactly.
I agree with you. You're at 7, and if you can get Leonard Freeman down low and underneath the ball a few times, and Abu
too.
But they have hoisted so many three-pointers and not made any of them. They're 3 of 15 from three-point land.
I think it's hard though when you play with pace. You're going to find yourself with some threes in transition, and sometimes it's okay to turn them down. You can run some clock, and I think when you get 3-point shots out of a post, a post touch on the block. And these guys, they're pretty skilled. Yurtseven can pass. He can play.
it would just be more beneficial, in my opinion, if they were to play from the inside out more often.
Yeah.
Because you're shooting in a rhythm. It's not a chucked up shot. You know, it's not one of those deals where I'm coming down as fast as I can and I'm pulling up.
Right.
It's within the flow of the offense, and I get that NC State wants to play fast. And that's okay. But you need to be patiently aggressive as well.
And again, I remind everybody, what could be the college basketball game of the day later tonight here from the Battle for Atlantis. Purdue and Arizona on the app around 9:30 Eastern time. Beverly had that one swatted. That's how we started the game, with Alexander swatting one in a row 3. He does it again here at the end of the game.
Well, Braxton Beverly thinks he's got a layup. Alexander again. He has had a good day. You know, he's been a guy that's really impacted this basketball game. He doesn't have to score to do that. He's a guy that blocks shots, rebounds.
4 blocks of the 9 Tennessee has today. They have defended the rim. Spin move and a nice basket there as Al Freeman gets it to go. So it cuts it to 6 with 18 to go.
That looked like the Al Freeman we saw against Arizona. He's shown flashes of being able to get into that paint and finish over length and bigs. He's just struggled today to really get anything going from the perimeter. But a beautiful spin move. I mean, that's a big-time move and a big-time finish as well.
So Villanova wins the championship, and Jay Wright says we're not the #5 team in the country. Prior to them winning the championship, it's like you got to put somebody somewhere.
Sure.
Given what you saw from Arizona, Purdue, and Villanova, the top-ranked teams here, all in the top 20, forget wins and losses. What's the potential for each, in your opinion?
I mean, to me, Villanova has Final Four talent. I think and guard play is so important in the NCAA tournament. So you've got a guy like a Jalen Brunson, who's been through the wars, a guy like Mikal Bridges, who can play out on the wing, can score, can really defend. I was just so impressed today with how fundamentally sound they were. I mean, it was a clinic in fundamental basketball. As for Arizona, you know, we talked about him. He's hurt. Raleigh Alkins, they miss him. I mean, he's an All-American type player.
Final Four team, right? When healthy?
When healthy, Final Four team. Now, they have some issues to figure out. And I'm sure, you know, Sean Miller is a very good coach. I have no doubt he will.
How about your Boilermakers?
Purdue, you know, it's been a disappointing week for them. I think coming in, you want them to establish themselves as a team that could be maybe a dark horse for the Final Four, and they just haven't lived up to that billing. And they've had some older guys really struggle, some experienced guys struggle, and just on the defensive end, and really just make uncharacteristically unintelligent plays. And it's really hurt them. And I know, you know, Matt Painter, I played for him. He's a great coach, and he preaches the fundamentals, preaches playing hard. And right now, they've kind of gotten away from that. To me, they came out yesterday, and they didn't compete, and they didn't look like they played hard to me. It didn't look like it was important to them. And that's really what's the most concerning thing to me, because like they have a team that's been through the wars. They won the Big Ten last year. They went to the Sweet 16 last year. They need to build on that. And so far, at least when the competition is heated up, they have not lived up to that billing.
7 points, 12 seconds. And a turnover. 21st turnover in the game for NC State. What do you do? 7 points, 9-5. Do we call the Dogs off, or you fouling? I'm always interested how the mindset is here late. Is the game over?
It's probably over, but Kevin Keats will never call the Dogs off. I mean, it is in their mentality. We are going to foul right here, and we're going to try to get a bucket.
All right.
That's a 5-second call. Yeah, man. I called timeout.
Yeah, and the coach this year is able to call the timeout. Used to be, we kind of got to that silliness where you had to require a player to call a timeout. Right. Didn't make a lot of sense to me.
That had to be close, though. I mean, that was a long 4.5 seconds or 4.9 seconds. Good timeout by Rick Barnes.
If you haven't seen him, this is certainly sort of must-see TV, especially here in the Bahamas because he's from here. But look at how big DeAndre Ayton is compared to everybody else.
I mean, you just don't see many guys like him.
Yeah, here's our 7'2" guy, Euro stepping and dunking. And there's a reason he's going to be a top 3 pick in this year's draft. Just an impressive combination of size and skill. And I think Sean Miller paid him the highest compliment he could. He said he's the most impressive freshman in Arizona basketball history.
Right. And they've had so
Think
many
about who
great
they've
players.
had. Yeah, I mean, Gilbert Arenas, Andre Iguodala, Richard Jefferson,
Bibby,
Mike
Miles
Bibby.
Simon.
Yeah, I mean, you could put together an NBA All-Star team of guys that played college basketball at Arizona.
There's a lot of Joel Embiid in there, and it's amazing how Embiid has turned his NBA career from, you know, really good player to like superstar this year.
Well, I mean, even he's turned from bust because he didn't get to play due to injury to perennial All-Star. And if he stays healthy, he's going to be a problem.
Huge problem.
For everybody in the Eastern Conference, the Western Conference, you name it. I mean, they've got some serious young talent in Philadelphia. The process is coming along.
The process is definitely working. Trust it. Beverly launches the final 3. It doesn't go, and that'll do it here. Happy battle for Atlantis. Good win. Tennessee improves to 4-1 on the season. They never trailed in this one as they win it 67-58. Final thought?
I mean, just a good win for Tennessee. You know, a resume-building win. Unfortunate end to NC State's weekend as they get the big win against Arizona, unable to get it done in their last 2 games.
Advocare semifinal, UCF, West Virginia coming up at 5 p.m. Eastern time. But for now, for Robbie Hummel, our entire crew here, it's been a wonderful week. I'm Carl Ravitch. We send you back to the studio for College Basketball Live Scoreboard.